It is where warriors go to fight the good battle of capitalism, because that's what business really is. It's about your vision, your idea. On this episode, we're going to be talking about Business 101, the do's and the don'ts. So be sure to tune in because this one you're not going to want to miss. Reinvention's not cute. Whoever said that is crazy. They're nuts, okay? Because it's chaotic, it's uncomfortable, but it also is kind of liberating, if I'm being honest, which that's what we do here. I'm Christina Rumbly. I'm a serial reinventionist, and I have done everything you can imagine, all the way from being a pop star to becoming a professional songwriter. From that, business entrepreneur, leading 250 employees, then selling my companies to where I am today. And this is Reinventing Rumbly, and that's what we do here. But we're inappropriately appropriate, of course. So now it's time to reinvent. So let's get to it. Hey guys, welcome to Reinventing Rumbly. I'm your host, Christina Rumbly. And of course, we're inappropriately appropriate. But today, we're going to get a little more of a serious tone. Okay. We're going to be talking about the do's and don'ts of business 101, if you will. So if you are thinking and conjuring up an amazing business idea, you want to start a business, you want to run a business, maybe you're selling your business or thinking about selling your business, right? Start, run, sell, business 101, the do's and the don'ts. Trials and tribulations, maybe some little story time in there. We'll see what we have time for. But let me tell you right now, Business 101, not for the faint at heart. You have to have a cloak, if you will, of steel over you. Why? Because it is where warriors go to fight the good battle of capitalism, because that's what business really is. It's about your vision, your idea. So we're going to take our scrunchie. We're going to throw it over here because no one needs to see that on my arm with all the hair sticking out. Tacky, gross. That's not what you want to do. That's a don't. Okay. So just so you know, that's a don't. Normally, I find myself to be quasi funny, but this one may not be so funny, but more factual. Some feelings, but facts. So let's start the journey of talking about Business 101. Now, just a reminder for you guys who are tuning in, maybe you haven't watched some of the episodes. I encourage you to watch some previous ones just to know who the hell is Christina Rumbly Stratton and why is she telling me anything about business? Who does she think she is? Well, I am an entrepreneur. I am a multi-exit entrepreneur and I'm a serial reinventionist, as explained in the intro. And basically, I'm here to just talk shop with you about starting a business, running it and selling it, because that's what I've done multiple times over. And I say this because a lot of people have asked me, I'm a consultant. So I have people that come to me that are starting a business or they are looking for some advice on how to grow their business, how to close their business, how to sell it. So I thought about this for a bit and talked to my producer and was like, hey, you know what? People need to know and maybe I can help somebody. So if you're out there and you're thinking about starting a business or you've really been just having this hankering to do something because everyone tells you, oh, that would be a great business. Don't shy away from it. I believe you grab the business entrepreneur fight and excitement and all that fun stuff, and you grab it by the, what do you want to say? I say cojones, but some may say something else. I say grab it by the horns, the cojones, the balls, whatever you want to call it. You grab it and you go. But before you do that, there's some tried and true things that you might want to think about before you do it. So let's go through a little bit of the do's and the don'ts and the list. Okay. So as you guys know, like I said, multi-exit entrepreneur, for the past 25 years, I have been an entrepreneur and I have made businesses, I've bought businesses, I've sold businesses, I've failed in some of those businesses and I've succeeded in some. And sometimes it's timing, it's economy, it's all different things that can make something successful. But there is some tools that you can use and that you can put into the basket, if you will. This is a basket, a cornucopia, I like to say. It's like a basket full of stuff. And that stuff will be your tools to be successful. Everyone glamorizes business and being an entrepreneur. And that's awesome because it is exciting and it can be very freeing. It can be self serving, it can be self sacrificing, all the yumminess of owning a business. But it also can be extremely difficult. It can be challenging. It can be stressful. It separates you from your family most of the time. It's a passion that you're fulfilling of your own. And the hope is that it can be profitable because without the profit, it's not really a business. In small business land or business, if passion was enough, everyone would be an entrepreneur, everyone would have a business, everyone would be rich. We wouldn't even need to have this conversation. But it's just not the case, right? Most businesses fail, and they usually fail within the first 1 to 3 years. So to avoid those situations, we're going to just talk a little bit about where to start. So if you're starting a business or you're thinking about it, you're conjuring it up, here's a few do's, okay? Most important thing, I believe, first and foremost, is solve a real problem. Most businesses, they start from a place of passion, right? And it's solving a problem. Well, what could the problem be? For us, for in the spa world, let's just say, it was making sure that we had a beautiful space that could be an intimate size, meaning it didn't need all the bells and the whistles in Vegas and have 20,000 square feet with enormous locker rooms that you could fit an entire, cheerleading squad in. Those are awesome. Love them. Love to visit them. But functionally, financially, those are hard to uphold unless you have a 1,000-room hotel in Vegas that is cranking people out every 5 seconds who aren't there other than to have a great experience, right? They're not there for maintenance typically. They're there to enjoy. So for us, it was about having this beautiful, intimate space that felt like you were a princess or queen or king for the day. And we didn't experience that in typical day spas, right? It was treated a little bit more homegrown. So we wanted to elevate that experience. That was the problem we had solved. Same with skincare. There's a lot of skincare companies, but what did we want to do? We wanted to solve the natural meets actual efficacy, that it actually does what it says it's going to do. If it says it's going to tighten and tone the skin, that it does that. And this was 20 years ago. So 20 years ago wasn't hugely popular. Drunk elephant didn't exist. All these herbivore botanicals didn't exist. All these natural lines started coming out afterwards in the green movement, if you will. So what does your business solve? And something that a lot of people don't realize is before you even think about having this business, you better do your research. You need to go to every competitor within a square block mile radius if it's a brick and mortar, or if it's a business that you think you're going to put in a space, like a retail space. Do you know your competitors? What's your comp set? Have you run a competitive analysis? Do you know how to do that? It's important. You should know what your competitors are doing. So how are you different? How do you differentiate? How are you going to be a different, if you will, wave in the ocean? Right? Because without that, you're just like everybody else. But no, I'm not. I'm different. Okay, how? And that's important. And listen, I'm going to talk to you like I would expect a consultant, a business coach to talk to me. Straight to the point, not a lot of fluff, not a lot of emotion around it, even though I'm an emotional person. If you haven't noticed or if you haven't seen the other episodes, you'll figure it out real quick. So that's one of the number one do's. Are you solving a problem? And if you are, for who? Who's your core demographic? Who's your audience? Really important, because if you don't know who you're serving, how will they know you're serving them? Right? If it's teeny boppers, tweens, because you're creating a skincare line for teenagers' problem skin, and your story aligns because you either have a teenager that went through a tough time with their skin or you did, or what's the story? Why should I buy, invest, get a service from or a product from you? So think about that. Take notes. It's important. And then secondarily, in part of that first one, like I mentioned, do your comp analysis. You got to know your competitors. You got to know your core audience. If you don't know that, you can't start. And every business coach, business plan, banker, anybody's going to tell you to do that. So make sure you do that first and foremost. But second of all, know this. You need to know your numbers early, right? And that's hard because if you're not a numbers person, how do you start? Well, make sure you have the right people with you on your team, right consultant, that you're talking to someone in your world, right? Business is business is business. And I believe that. You can have a hot dog stand, a pizza joint, you can have a spa, you can have a widget making place, you can have a farm. Yes, every single one of those businesses have nuances and have specifics geared towards that industry, permitting and all the things. But at the end of the day, business is business. People are people, and people buy, and we're consumers. So we have a psychology behind what we do with our money. Understand your numbers, because pricing it correctly. What's your break even? If you don't know your break even, a bank's not going to invest in you because they're going to think you're not truly understanding the market that you're in. So know your numbers, right? So far, what makes you special? How are you different? Are you solving a problem? And if you are, to who? First and foremost. And don't forget that pain point is bigger than the idea that you have. That pain point of whatever it is you're solving, the problem you're solving, the thing you're giving and doing is bigger, truly, than the actual idea you have. I know that sounds crazy, but it's true. And and people have to be willing to pay for what it is you want to give them, service, product, whatever it is that your business is. Because if they're not willing to pay for it, it's a hobby, not a business. That's a tough one for people to hear. I like to knit scarves. I crochet these things. Great. Is anyone willing to buy them? If the answer is no, awesome. You have an incredible hobby, but you may not have a business. And Etsy is a perfect example of people that went from hobby to being able to commercialize and monetize a hobby into a potential business. Now, some of them still do it as part time. It feeds their soul. It's crafting. It's amazing. I've bought things from incredible Etsy people and artists, and they've become business owners from that. It's beautiful to watch. So just remember, if you can't sell it, no one wants to buy it. It's a hobby, not a business. I know it sounds harsh. It's reality. Don't get mad at me. I'm just messaging it. Know your cash flow. Cash flow is going to be the thing that sets you free or crumbles your business. That's the number one reason why businesses fail is mismanaged cash flow. And then the third if you need to build for scale from day one, something that I didn't learn until a little bit later in the game because we were building a spa. But within 6 months, we were opening a secondary location, different brand. Opportunity popped up. You don't know when opportunities are going to fly in front of you. When someone's going to call you randomly and be like, hey, listen, because that's exactly what happened to me. Hey, I don't know if you're interested or not, but I'm thinking about selling my salon. Do you guys want to take a look at it? I'm sorry, what? We did that. It was a phone call. Within 6 months, we were buying this woman's business. Hindsight being 2020, we probably should have held off because that business we ended up selling for basically what we bought it for and gave it to two of the stylists because we learned some hard lessons in that. But we had it for almost 10 years. Just didn't make us any money, but it gave us credibility. So hindsight being 2020, learn from those that have lived it. But you want to build for that scale from day one, because when you build for scale from day one, you will help yourself by not making a lot of costly mistakes. You're going to put systems in place. You won't know it's a system until you open it and you start going. But systems and documentation and SOPs, which is standard operating procedures, will set you free. And that's where a business coach or consultant can help you, depending on your business and what you're doing, because they might be able to help you and save you a lot of time, energy, effort, money, tears, stress, sweat, sleepless nights, because they may say, here's a template SOP that works perfect for your industry. Take it, morph it, make it yours. And now with AI, it can make it a lot easier for you. But don't forget that AI just pulls a lot of information that it's gathered from all different sources. It may not be geared exactly towards yours. So you definitely want that human eye, that human experience on it to tell you if what they're seeing is accurate enough for your business that you've identified. So those are those 3 do's. And, there's 100 do's, but we're just going to tackle 3. But then we're going to tackle 3 don'ts. So now let's look at the don'ts when you're starting a business. Don't underprice yourself. Women, I am talking to you specifically. Men, stay tuned, hold on, listen up, because it might be interesting for you to know this too. We always underestimate our value. We do it in a family hierarchy. We put ourselves last on the totem pole. It's just a natural thing. I think it's genetic. I think it has to do with our DNA. Not all of us, but most of us do. But we also undervalue our value. We underprice it. So I can tell you statistically, they talk about how women statistically, I think the number, don't quote me on this because I think I read it in a Harvard review from somewhere a long time ago, but I want to say it was like 60 to 70% of women undervalue themselves when going for a raise for their corporate job or their job. They tend to not be able to identify their worth, which, I mean, if we tracked history, I get it. We've only been voting for how long? It sounds horrible. Again, I'm not a bra burner. You know that. I've already talked about that. But there is statistics that back this up. We don't ask for the raise. We tend to be okay with less. We don't want to push the envelope about money and our value. So same goes for when you own a business and you're pricing out your services, right? Whether you're a consultant or whether you want to open up an ice cream store. Let facts, not feelings, get in the way of that. What does the comp set say? How much is the neighboring ice cream store charging? Okay. Are you doing something extra special? That first due, remember? Are you solving a pain point, a problem? What are you doing differently? Can you charge for that point of differentiation? It's important to think about. This is that 360-degree view of your business. And you should always be looking at your business like, I know I'm rotating myself just to show you the 360, but I'm not going to go all the way around. It wouldn't happen. But you know what I'm saying. 360-degree view of your business at all times. And you're in the center of it, looking at it at all angles. So just know for women, especially in service businesses, we tend to underestimate our value. Price yourself accordingly. Do not underprice yourself. Women don't fail. I mean, this is the truth. We don't fail. We undercharge ourselves into exhaustion because we're donating our time, volunteering, having this, doing this, picking up. So just remember that. Don't undervalue that. It's very important. The second, don't, if you will, don't make yourself the system. If you can't step away from your business, you don't own it. Now, I'm not saying in the beginning. Are you kidding me? I was the janitor. I was the front desk person. I was the banker. I had a business partner and we did everything. We opened and closed the doors. We answered the phones. We cleaned the toilet. We washed the laundry. I was stepping over mounds of robes our first week that we were operating in our first spa. You will do everything. You'll wear every hat. And you may do that for some time. But the goal and the don't in this is don't make yourself the system. Because if your business falls apart without you, it owns you. And I'm proud to say, it took a long time, but the fact that I don't have to be inside my businesses at that front desk every day has been a journey. It's taken time. And I will tell you the freedom in that is quite rewarding when you can get to that level. And it takes a little time, but it's critical because you don't want the business owning you. Or really, you don't have a business. You have something that you go and do that you're in every day. But is it owning you? And do you ever get to break away from it? Because that stress is powerful and it takes years off your life. You know what I mean? So protect yourself. Remember that cloak of steel? It's part of that. The third don't skip legal and financial setup. Get a banker. Know your banker. Form a relationship. Before you ask for money, know who they are. Know who their kids are. And if you're a woman in business, try to find a female banker, especially if you're in a female-driven industry. Like for me, spas and salons. Our first bankers were all men. This was 20 years ago. They made us bring our husbands in to co-sign the loan. We were the breadwinners. My business partner and I both, females. And we had to bring in our husbands to co-sign the loan. We're both on our home. We both have our bank accounts. So why? Now, some things have changed a little bit. I sound like I'm talking from the 50s. That's what it felt like when they were like, hey, can your husbands come? Why? It's not their business. They have nothing to do with it. Their name's not on that door. But they wanted to have more ability to go after more than just us. If and probably in their heads, when we failed. They lost that bet because we didn't fail. We won. You know what I mean? So take a sip of water on that one. That was for dramatic pause. So we got the do's for starting the business, right? And just like to reiterate, so we all know we're going to solve a real problem. Okay. We're going to know our numbers and we're going to build for scale from day one. So you're saving yourself a lot of time later when you have your exit strategy in play. And by the way, have your exit strategy. Know what you want to do with this. Are you creating an empire, a legacy to give to your kids? Do you want to build it for 5 to 10 years and you're walking away? Okay, well, what does that look like? And what if you're like, I don't know what I want to do with it? That's innocent and honest, and it's okay. But from day one, think about building it to scale. Build it so you can sell it. Because if you do that, you're going to keep your systems tight. You're going to keep your financials right. And the don'ts that we mentioned, you are not going to underprice yourself, right? Exactly. You are going to make yourself not be the end all be all system where if you can't step away, the thing crumbles, right? And a note on that, by the way, because I did this thing, I made that mistake. And I made the mistake because I think my ego got in the way, meaning I wanted to be part of the team. I wanted to be the flag of success. I wanted to open all of the spas. I wanted to be on that traveling circus and be the leader in charge. And what I learned in those 20 years of doing that is it just didn't help professionally grow my team. My team were almost atrophied, if you will, from not being able to think for themselves because I had the answer. Oh, don't worry about that. I'll go get it. Hey, don't worry about that. I'll get that. You know what? Let me talk to the GC, the contractor on the job. So I never strong. I did eventually, but it took me years. And my business partner used to say to me, you love doing it. Like you must love it. And I loved to hate it. I hated being away from my family, but I loved the feeling I got creating something from nothing and seeing it come to life. That's where my energy went into. I poured into it. And I didn't want anyone to take that away from me. So my former business partner and I really talked about, okay, what do you love and what do you loathe to do in the business? And that's when you get real, real. Now, this is more when you're running it. So we'll jump down into that. But I just wanted to put that out there that you're not alone in that. If you are starting your business and you are the end all be all and you're the one that everyone has to turn to and you're the bottleneck, let's say, for all decisions because it has to go through you because you want your DNA and your fingerprint on everything. I understand that because it is your baby, you know? And you have every right to do that. But just know the toll that that can take on you. It means that you will always be the one to answer that call. You will be the final end all decision. You sometimes have to be the one to make the hard choices. And that can actually lead to exhaustion and burnout. So just know your strengths and know your weaknesses and know where your ego sits in that because it is about ego and it is about not trusting others to do as good as you will do. And listen, they won't. It's your baby. You're going to give it 100,000%. But I always do the 80-20 rule. If someone can do 80% to my 100, then that's a winner. Then that is somebody who pretty much is going to execute it at a level that I'll be okay with. Because most of the time, it's not their business. It's not theirs. They'll go on and get another job. And they may never call you again. But just know that's okay. It was hard for me sometimes when that would happen. But it happens. And it just means you help them have a stepping stone to their next success. So don't ever be afraid of that. We don't own anybody. They can go wherever they want. You hope that you have a culture, you create something so amazing that they never want to leave. Especially your first team that you put the group together. It's like, these are my people. I know. And when my people decided to move on to greener pastures, or they were moving, or they got married, or they had a child, or they just wanted something different, or they didn't like us anymore. That one really stings. But it's just the way it's life. I mean, and we have to be okay with that. Just kind of like when a relationship ends. For somebody, it might suck that it's ending. For someone, they may be thrilled. So it's no different than any human experience we all have. So those are your do's and your don'ts for starting. Just so we're clear, when I said about don't skip the legal stuff, let me tell you how much that can bite you in the rear end. You need to know, are you an S Corp, a C Corp, an Inc., an LLC, a sole proprietorship, a partnership? What are you? You need to talk to a CPA. Get a bookkeeper early. Do not try to get employees without having some bookkeeper that has HR experience, because in the beginning, you're not going to be able to afford a CPA fully. Maybe just somebody who can give you advice, accountant, somebody who can tell you how to form it, maybe help you form it. Form your entity legally so that you don't ever have an issue. You have something, service or product, and you want to trademark it, figure out how to trademark it. 'Cause let me tell you something, you don't want to dump $500,000 into something and someone comes knocking on your door and you get a legal letter that says cease and desist because you didn't do a proper trademark search. Just things, little things to look out for. They're like little traps, right? You can fall right into them. But how would you know? You were so excited. If it's a spa owners are so excited about what robes they're going to get and the linens and the product and the smells and great. Are you a LLC? Well, that's boring stuff. Oh, I know. It is boring. Financials, snooze. However, it'll set you free or not. You want to lose sleep and be stressed out? Worry about a trademark. Yeah, I've had that happen before, and it will make you have sleepless nights. So just acknowledge it. If you're in a business and you have to get licensure or permitting, know the facts before you sign on dotted lines, especially if you're signing a lease and you don't own that unit in that building. Know what you're signing that lease about. Do you need that big of a space? Can you grow? How do you expand? How long is that lease for? Are they going to do any TI, tenant improvements? If so, how much? So, a lot of things like that are critical. A realtor will help you if you're getting a lease, but just know your rights, know what you need to know. I can't tell you how many leases I've signed where I didn't really realize that if the AC broke, it was on me. If the plumbing backed up, it was on me. Oh, the roof is leaking, it's on me. I don't own the building, doesn't matter, it was in my lease. And I probably could have negotiated that and didn't because I didn't know any better. Didn't have a lawyer at the time, right? So just CYA, cover yo ass. All right, so some little stats for you, which is important because I think stats always try to back it up, is women. Remember when I mentioned to you about women and we don't get a lot of funding, or if you do, they would make you have your husband sign it back in the day? Back in the day, meaning like 18 years ago, 20 years ago. 42% of women own businesses in the United States. However, less than 3% are backed by venture capitalist funding. Okay, let me just say it one more time. 42% of the businesses that you go into, walk into, enjoy, see are owned by women, but only less than 3% are venture capitalist funded, which means women have a higher probability of failure in business because we're not funded. Interesting, right? Now that's changing, which is exciting. We're seeing banks that are having complete divisions of women and VPs that support women businesses. Love seeing that. But we still are on the lowest part of the totem pole when it comes to that. So that's why I said to you, find a banker and find a female banker. If you're a female, find a female banker. I think because there just happens to be a little bit more understanding of possibly the businesses that you could be getting into, especially if they're in the beauty care realm. But just know that, like when I went to our bank, I literally had a male vice president and president of the bank say, "So what do you guys do? You do like rub downs and stuff?" And he went like that, like massaging the neck. And I was like, well, first of all, we're not rubbing down anyone. It's professional therapeutic massage services. And I had to get real stern because it was almost like we were going to be a massage parlor. Disgusting. I can't. So just remember that. Find your people, get some good people, interview some. Don't pick the first person that you find unless they're great, but interview a couple. And meaning like a CPA or a fractional CFO if you need someone, that's a chief financial officer. Or if you need someone to just give you advice, again, a consultant that's in your industry, ideally. And the structure, the bookkeeping, the structure of how you're going to set this up is important because you want to get it right from the beginning. So IRS isn't after you and you don't end up having any hiccups with that. Okay. I know that's the boring stuff, but just know that that's important, especially if you're women in business, find that banker too. So starting is the fun part. It's the easy part. Believe it or not, it's the fun part because you're dreaming, you're thinking, you're conjuring up what it is that excites you and the passions there. Now we're going to open and we're going to run that business, right? So running a business is totally different. All right, guys, we are going to put a pause and a pin in this one because there's so much more to talk about. We're going to talk about running your business and continue that. So be sure to tune in next week because that'll be part 2 of this wonderful Business 101 series from me to you. And listen, email me. Let me know what your story is. I'd love to hear it because maybe you have a story that I've never even heard of before. I would love it. So reinventingrumbly@gmail.com. Make sure to tune in on Wednesdays and give us a review. Subscribe, do all the fun stuff, and don't forget to share it with some friends because I know you got friends that need to hear this. Girl, I know it. So be sure to tune in. And look, we are always reinventing. You're never too old. So come along on this journey with me in this windy road of life.